Feel like I'm a player's coach's wife. Not so much a coach's wife because he can do his own thing. I choose to get very involved with my players. They're somebody's babies. And I want parents to feel like there's somebody looking out for them too, from like a mom's side.
Just know how much we as a family, for myself and our 3 children, and the other host of children that we have that are linebackers, how much we appreciate everything that you do. I love you to the moon and back. And you as a coach's wife, we know it is a very tough occupation.
As coaches' wives, that's the one thing. Just to feel the appreciation, that means a lot. That means a lot because we do a lot.
You bring up a good point, Rae Ann, too. Also, how these roles collide. Right? You are a coach's wife and you are a sport mom, right? You're there to watch your kid do his thing, right, do her thing, yet at the same time they interact.
It was a straight storm.
And
it was bad.
we peep out out the porta potty, and we see my mom coming down, laying on the horn, whipping the traverse. We were like, oh, bet. We all ran out. She gave us a ride back.
Sprinted the traverse back to the campsite. Ran for the save.
I just love watching them compete, but it's the relationships that I see developing that actually warm my heart. So I think that's my favorite part of them being on a team.
Welcome to United with Big Team at Indiana University. This is our podcast on student-athlete mental health. I'm your host, Dr. Jesse Steinfeldt, and I am extra excited about today's episode. I'm going to talk with my good friend and someone who I admire, Rae Ann Inge. She's a boundless ball of energy, someone who cares deeply, and someone who gets it when it comes to supporting athletes, coaches, and all of us involved in sport. Thanks for coming on. It's so good to see you again, Rae Ann.
It's so good to see you, Jesse.
So in honor of our historic and undefeated national champion Indiana Hoosiers football team, we bring our guests on the episode with the help of Coach Signetti. So, Coach Sigs, let's get this party started.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
So, Rae Ann, if Coach Sigs Googled you, what life wins would he come up in this search?
Oh, this could be dangerous. So, Google me. I think you'd probably find life wins being a mom. That's probably my biggest achievement so far in life. A mom to many kids, actually.
You are understating your awesomeness, but that's a great start. You are a woman of many talents. You're the CEO of Inge Enterprises. You have 3 wonderful kids, all doing amazing things athletically and otherwise. Again, we'll talk later too about your big genogram and family tree of kids. And your husband, William Inge, coaches college football at the University of Tennessee. And so you have a lot of support roles, primary roles that you play. The audience is going to be interested to hear all the ways that you support, that you work, that you help. So let's dig in. Let's talk about some of the roles you occupy. Starting with being a coach's wife. Tell us about some of the experiences you have in supporting Bill and your family in the hectic world of Division I college football.
So I have been a coach's wife for many years. We've moved several times. I would say the first thing about being a coach's wife is they're gone a lot. Recruiting is tough because they'll be on the road for, I feel like months. So I literally do everything at home. In our previous years when coaches, we weren't making much because you have to build that ladder. So I learned how to fix washers and dryers, and I did some plumbing because you couldn't afford to hire someone. So, I Googled and found out how to fix it. So I've painted, I've laid tile to fix up homes to sell. So there's that part. So I would say coaches' wives do everything. They pack up and move to their new job. They leave within days. And we're left with getting the house ready to sell, getting the kids ready to move, packing, because packing's expensive. And so I've even driven a U-Haul from Iowa to Colorado, and then Colorado to San Diego. And we left in the middle, early evening, and the next thing I know, I was driving in the mountains with this huge U-Haul in a snowstorm. And I was freaking out. but we made it to San Diego, so that's good. So coaches' wives, I feel like we do everything. I mean, I feel like we do everything. Yeah. And supporting him, there's different roles for a coach's wife. It just depends on the type of person. I choose to get very involved with my players. They're somebody's babies, and I want the parents to feel like there's somebody looking out for them too, from like a mom side, because college, and it's changed drastically. College football has changed since Bill and I have been together, 26 years now. So in those 26 years, wow, it's changed. I could have a whole episode on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's changed a lot in the last 3 to 5 years, let alone the 20
years,
right? We've seen shifts, correct?
Correct. So I really play a role in that. I want to be a part of these kids' lives. If they have surgery, I'm at the surgery center. When we were at Indiana, it was funny because we had TJ Simmons. He was having his meniscus repaired, and Bill was having his meniscus repaired by the same surgeon, literally back to back. So they took Bill first, but I got to see him for a second, but I went straight to TJ because I didn't want TJ to wake up. In fact, the nurse came and got me, and she was like, "We need you in here now," because we didn't want him waking up to somebody he didn't know. And so I prefer to be at those surgeries. I don't want some random person there when they wake up. They're babies still. They're babies still. Sweet. And so I feel like I'm a player's coach's wife. Not so much a coach's wife, because he can do his own thing. Yeah. I mean, there's times that I kind of get on him like, hey, you need to do this and this and this. And he'll be like, oh. And I've always told the boys, the linebackers, I always get them together before the season, and I kind of lay some ground rules for them. And, they are teenage boys or young men, and they are going to live life. And I've always told them, hey, if you need to be picked up at 2 a.m., I'm the one to call. There's no judgment here. Like, we talk relationships. I've gone to court with a player before so that he could have some rights to see his child. We've had a player that, had a baby, and Coach and I showed up at the hospital so that he had somebody there from his side of the family to be like, hey, we support this child. We welcome this child. I mean, I've babysat players' kids. It's just something that I feel like I was called to do.
I love that. Again, that's not in the job description, right? That is a caring, is a parent of a college athlete's, knowing that there's people who care for my kid more than just what he can do for them on the field is what it's all about, right? Someone who cares about him as a human being and is going to be there above and beyond when they need it is amazing, man. Yeah.
Like, this sounds crazy. I don't care what they do on the field. I care what they do off the field. Even academics. I think Coach Inge stresses that more. I stress be a good person. I just, and you got to love them. They're still young, and there's so much pressure around them now.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
It might be helpful, you've talked about a lot of really interesting things with, your role as coach's wife, but it might be helpful for the audience to maybe get a list of all the places you've been. Start with that, the chronology of your journey.
Okay. Yeah. So Northern Iowa, which was Cedar Falls, then Colorado, in Boulder. And I was pregnant with Isaiah at the time, but I was still living in Iowa because I was working and I was managing a company, and I had a fantastic doctor, so I didn't want to leave. Well, then he took a job in San Diego, and I finally had Isaiah. And then Isaiah and I moved to San Diego. Then we went to Cincinnati. Then we went to Buffalo, New York at UB, and then he transitioned over to the Buffalo Bills, so we didn't have to move, which was great. And then Chan Gailey was the head coach at the time. He was released, and so then we were still on contract, and that's a whole different thing in the NFL, being on contract. you have to ask Buffalo Bills to be talked to unless you go back to college. And so we ended up at Indiana. And that's where we spent 7 seasons. Wow. And then we went to Fresno State from there with Kalen DeBoer, who is at Indiana, who's one of my favorite head coaches, and his wife is the best. So then Bill went to Seattle, Washington with Kalen. I stayed in California so that Isaiah could graduate high school with his teammates and his friends that he started high school with to provide some stability. And then we moved to Tennessee. So
that is a crazy configuration of things. And you highlighted before the idea about, the money thing. If you get to a tip-top pyramid, there's money. That's not always the case, right? People are grinding and earning at, salaries that aren't there for all the packing and the moving that's needed.
Yeah, and depending on what level you're on or even what the position you're being hired for, there's moving packages, but there's only an allotment. And so say you have 3 kids in a 3,000 square foot home, that's a lot of packing and a lot of moving. And we do a lot of it on our own because Bill and Isaiah have toys too. So those race cars and trailers and RVs, I mean, we have to move all that. So it's fun.
Yeah, the logistic piece sounds like a nightmare. But then we talk about the other part of kind of the impact, on well-being and psychologically. What's it been like for your family to move around? Again, all the 3 kids. Apparently now you have 16 dogs and a dozen cats. And what's the process of moving the family like been on you guys?
So, moving to Indiana, it wasn't an issue. The kids were little, but then we were in Indiana for 7 seasons. And so we found our people. Bloomington, I have a love, not so like with Bloomington. I felt like because I've been other places now that it's the people of Bloomington that made it special. Isaiah still talks to all his buddies. Kiki actually still talks to one of her friends. Rae still talks to one of her little childhood friends. Bloomington was special, and we were there for so long that we developed a really tight relationship with our linebackers there. T. Gray Scales, he still comes to visit 3-4 times a year, no matter where we're at. He came to California. He's been to Tennessee a couple times. He went to the national championship with us, and he goes to bowl games with us. So moving, when we left Indiana, that was hard.
Hard on all of us, my friend. When you meet people that you mesh with and you love, again, we recognize that it's a transient industry, but that's hard, right? To have those relationships and have to try and maintain those and move on. Yeah.
Because Isaiah was going into high school. Right. So that was hard for him. And COVID hit. So when we moved to California, literally the whole state shut down. So I couldn't even get my kids into school because in California, there was no one even at the schools. So they were actually doing work through Indiana schools for like a month and a half via Zoom but then Bill finally got in touch with the Buchanan High School football coach, and he actually called someone and got our kids enrolled in the Clovis School District out there. So we sheltered in place for forever. We actually hung out with the DeBoers because they had 2 girls. So that was like our little network so that the girls and Isaiah had something to do. They would swim together, hang out, that type of thing. Because California literally was shut down. So that was really tough. And then once it opened back up, we found softball teams for the girls. Isaiah started working out with his football team. He made some great friends. And so it turned out I love Fresno. I would totally move back to Fresno. Then when Bill took the job in Seattle, we had sat down with Isaiah because he was old enough, and we said, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to go? Do you want to stay? This has to be about you, because at some point we follow Dad everywhere. And I told Bill, I said, obviously we need to provide some stability for our children too. There comes a time and place where they needed to be able to have those friendships, right, that last a lifetime. And he was really looking forward to football with his teammates, and the recruiting process for him had started. So we stayed, and it was great because the girls got to stay with their teams and their friends. And it was hard. It was definitely hard, especially on, you know, I feel like maybe it was harder on Bill because I was so busy with the kids and all their activities that I didn't skip a beat. But he was missing out on just coming home to a family. He was going home to a like 1-bedroom, 720 square foot apartment, right? So in Seattle, I had sunshine every day. He had rain. So I think it was probably more of a change for him than for me. But it was difficult because Isaiah was a teenage boy, and all of a sudden he felt like he was the man of the house. And yeah, not so much. You know, Mom put a foot down on that. So it was good for Isaiah. Looking back, people ask, would you do it again? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. In a heartbeat, I would. Because he had a blast his senior year, and it was worth it. And that's home to him still. He goes out to California. He just got back. He was out there for 2.5 weeks. He goes and stays at his best friend's house. And if you ask the kids where are they from, they'll say California. I think it was such a critical part of their age.
Yeah. And then that's a necessary sacrifice, but such a hard sacrifice on Bill, on you, to make that for them, that stability. 7 years in Indiana is a lifetime in the coaching world, right? So now we talk about this next period where you're able to try to have to create some stability, even though the next job came. That's a hard sacrifice, and I admire that. It's not easy, but it's necessary.
It was totally necessary, and I'm thankful we did it for Isaiah's sake, and actually the girls, because Kiki actually ended up trying out for cheer, and she made it. She loved it, which I never thought I'd have a cheerleader, but hey, here we go.
That's awesome. Yeah. Wonderful. And then you guys were able to then, have that temporary sacrifice, but now move together, the whole crew's in, Knoxville and Tennessee, and we'll call it normal, I guess, for lack of a better word, trajectory of family, unit stability, right?
Right. Like to all be in the same place. And that was definitely hard. Our youngest did not exactly, she really, the first year we were here, struggled with we had to find a softball team for her level of competition that she wanted to be in and what she wants to do going forward with softball. We had to find a national team. So we travel a lot now. Where in California, there's a lot of softball. Right. And there's a lot of teams. And you don't have to travel very far. Here, there's a lot of teams. It's just not the level of play that she was interested in. So we've joined. Fortunately, we found this phenomenal team. Absolutely love the coaches, the parents, the players. And so we travel. But it's a lot of fun. And Kiki, she has really just grown into herself, and she works. She has a job. She's a shift manager at Smoothie King.
Let's go.
And she is taking college courses. She's a junior. And she does dual enrollment. So she wants to become an anesthesiologist. So it's been a good fit for them. It just took a moment.
That's a good point, right? And that's a good sort of segue into, this is a podcast on student-athlete mental health, being the forefront of conversations, but the overlooked area is coach mental health and impact that this industry has on coaches' mental well-being and family well-being. Touch on that a little bit.
Right.
You started a little bit with Kiki's situation.
So I'll say, for coaches' kids, right? So when they're young, I don't think they hear the noise around them. They just love being a part of, I used to take the girls out in their little princesses dressed to practice, and they got to run the field. And Isaiah had a blast out there, right? How cool is it that you get to hang out with college football players? So for them, they didn't hear the noise, but now they hear it. So I think coaches' kids don't get enough credit because they have to deal with people at school. Like, you lose a game, they go to school, they hear about it, even from teachers.
Yeah.
Like, teachers will be like, oh, that was wrong. Bad game. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And they'll be like, ugh. And my girls are very knowledgeable in football. Like, they get it. They can understand it. They probably could call a game better than some people. And so they're really kind about it. But there's some days they'll come home and they'll be like, ugh. And I'm like, I get it. Mm-hmm. In fact, Rae learned from her teacher that Kalen DeBoer had taken the job at Washington before I even had a chance to tell her.
Oh, man.
She comes home. I actually called the school when it finally broke. And I was like, hey, I need to grab my kids from school because I knew. And I grabbed them, and Rae is like, I already know. Are we moving? And so for coaches' kids, I don't think the older they get, I mean, the noise is there.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So it's different. I don't know how to explain.
No, it's a lot. It's a burden on them, right? It's an opportunity and it's access. That's nice, but it becomes a burdensome thing for them to be around a space where people are so passionate and not really filtered effectively, right? And sort of take it out on the kids, yeah.
I mean, mentally that can be draining, right? So we talk about it a lot. I always, even if somebody's called dad about an opportunity, I don't want them to see, on footballscoop.com or Twitter, like, hey, William Inge's name is being involved in. So I always, now that they're older, give them the little heads up conversation, especially Isaiah, because, the kids are on Twitter and Instagram and stuff now, social media. And they're at the age where kids are being recruited. Their friends are being recruited. So and then there's also times when they're aware of situations that aren't public record or knowledge, right? And we don't discuss that. And so we have those conversations too, like, hey, this is not for everyone's ears. Yeah. But I will say they handle it really well. I think because they've grown up with it, right? And there's expectations that we have set for them and been pretty brutally honest about. I feel like, sometimes Bill will be like, you don't have to tell them everything. I'm like, no, I do. I do. Just because I don't want them to hear it outside. Like, it has to come from me.
That's huge, right? You're right. You're not going to shelter from it because they see it, they access it. So, if you give them afraid, they can manage it better. But it's again, a burden, right? It's something that not all the kids have to deal with.
Right. But then they get to experience so many awesome things. Like, bowl game trips are a lot of fun for them. Just the whole, getting to go in the locker room to celebrate the win. There's just a lot of great things that happen being a coach's kid. But also, there's also the part where I remember one day, because Bill didn't get to go to Isaiah's games, right? And Isaiah had a tough game, and he just made the comment, like, something about, like, oh, well, Dad doesn't never get to see me play. And I was just like, what, Isaiah? And he was like, oh, but he gets to watch other people's boys play. I mean, there was that little, and so we had to redirect, and then, it was like a selfish thing he said, but I get it, because sometimes they were like, Dad's not around, or, but they kind of have learned that they share their dad. But Bill has been really great about making sure that he stays involved, like the text messages every morning, the phone calls, to the point the kids are like, oh my gosh, Dad's calling again. To the notes that he'll leave in their sports bags. He'll just write a little note. I remember we were going to nationals. Kiki was playing on a softball team in California, and we were headed to nationals. And we opened the car door to load up to go to Sacramento. And on her seat, there was a note and some candy, and then her cleats were on the floor. And it was from Bill. And it was just sweet, So he couldn't be there, but he wanted her to know that he was there
No.
So
that extra effort, means the world, right? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's not always like there physically, but he makes them known that, hey, I'm with you. So
That's impressive.
he's a good dad.
It's impressive, not easy. Yeah.
People I know think that coaching, oh, these coaches make all this money. Well, not all of them do.
Right.
And coaches, don't get me wrong, there's some coaches who shouldn't be coaching. Let's just say that.
Right.
Thankfully, I haven't really run into too many of them, or been on staff with them. But he's a player's coach, and he's also a dad who is very involved. So it's good.
That's awesome. That's a good transition because, I was able to reach out to Bill, and he was kind enough to send me a video to show you the audience. Here's a clip that brings the message home in heart. So let's play that for us to watch.
Rae Ann, I just want you to know how much I greatly appreciate you for all of the sacrifices and everything that you do to keep Team Inge and the House Inge up and rolling. You have made numerous sacrifices and dedications to our family, and just know how much we as a family, for myself and our 3 children and the other host of children that we have that are linebackers, how much we appreciate everything that you do. I love you to the moon and back. And you as a coach's wife, we know it is a very tough occupation because often we're gone on the road recruiting, just like I am doing right now. But just know how much I love you and appreciate you, and thank you for all you do. We rolling.
We rolling.
That's our guy.
It's nice to be appreciated. It's tough. Like coaches' wives. Here at Tennessee, we have a Bible study, and it's coaches' wives, and it's held by our head coach's wife, Dawn Heipel, who is one of the most amazing women I've ever met. And it's a true Bible study. But within that Bible study, we realize as coaches' wives the sacrifices we make. And it's such a cool thing for just us coaches' wives to talk about. And it doesn't leave that room. And it is an amazing, amazing time. Every week we do it. And as coaches' wives, that's the one thing, just to feel the appreciation, that means a lot. That means a lot because we do a lot. So yeah, and we rolling. We stay rolling. So yeah, it means a lot.
I love that. And I love that you have that support group, right? Other people to connect with who get it, right? Who are going through the same thing.
Right.
You can have the other people to lean on, again, because you've painted a really good picture for our audience, just the logistic, the emotional, all the difficulties that come with it. Of course, benefits clearly, but it's a lot to put on somebody.
There's a lot of highs and lows of being a coach's wife. I honestly think coaches' wives probably take the loss harder than, because the coaches, they've moved on, okay? They watched the film Sunday morning or Saturday night or whatever. They got their practice plans ready. They moved on. Well, coaches' wives, a lot of times after a loss on Sunday, I stay in the house because I couldn't in Indiana because we had football games on Sundays. Do you remember that
Yep.
What was
Monroe County football? Yep.
Yes, on Sunday. So if we lost a game, I'll never forget it. I would wear like this big hoodie that I had, and it didn't have anything on it. It was just a plain hoodie, and I'd throw it up and I'd tie it, and that would mean like, don't talk to me, because there was always a couple dads who wanted to talk about the game the day before, and I'm like, and specifically one dad. And finally, one time I just looked at him. I'm like, do you want me? I was like, I literally said, oh gosh, I said this to him. I said, do you want to call my husband and tell him your game plan? I was like, would you like? I was like, there might be a GA position available next year. Would you like it? Like, I don't know, dude. Like, what do you want me to do with this?
That's funny.
So we take the losses probably a lot harder than even the coaches do, because we have to face it. Like, you go for a walk in the neighborhood, and then neighbor says, oh, tough game on Saturday. And you're like, yeah, thanks for reminding me, it's Wednesday. I'm supposed to be getting past this. But yeah.
You bring up a good point, Rae Ann, too. Also, how these roles collide, right? You are a coach's wife and you are a sport mom, right? You're there to watch your kid do his thing,
Right.
do her thing, yet at the same time they interact. So I want to pivot our conversation a little bit about being a sport mom, and to do that, I'm going to show another video because your role as a sport mom, as I've gotten to know you, is for your 3 kids, but the whole community of kids. You are as good a we supporter as I've ever come across. So I'm going to show you this clip from another one of your kids talking about a fond memory he has of you as a sport parent.
Okay.
Out of all the stories and memories I have of Miss Rae Ann growing up in youth sports, going from Toronto's basketball games to away baseball tournaments where me and Isaiah would wreak havoc at the RV parks, I would say a memory or a story that stuck with me the most over the years was the weekend of the Canton, Ohio football trip when we went to go play in the Hall of Fame. And you had picked me and Isaiah both up from school, and you had very firmly laid down the ground or the rules on how to act at the hotel, how to conduct ourselves. And did we follow those ground rules? Yes, we did. No. But no, that was out of all the great memories, over the years, and that's one that has definitely stuck with me and is will cherish.
That's our guy.
Oh, A-Train. First of all, what a good-looking kid he is. Holy smokes.
I married up. Yes, thank you.
He is so cute. Oh, Aiden. So let's talk about that trip to Canton. I think I sent you the picture of the car ride, right? Like, literally, they all get in the car, and I'm like, okay, here's the deal. The boys were at the very back. They had the was it Xbox or something hooked up because I had, like, video screens for them. Shout out to Royal on the East Side. Craig hooked me up with this minivan. I'm telling you, I had screens for every kid with headphones. They had the Xbox hooked up in the back. Like, he totally pimped my ride. So shout out to Craig at Royal on the East Side. In fact, I still get my cars there. Nice. To this day, we just got a car for Kiki and they delivered it from Bloomington, Indiana.
That's awesome.
So I told them, I'm like, boys, you get to play the game. I don't want any, shenanigans going on back there because they were full of it and the girls were right in front of him. Well, at one point, something was getting thrown around and it came up and like hit the front of the dash or whatever. I'm like, what the? And I told him, I said, hey, and also don't last minute me. You got a potty because I don't know where we're going. I don't know when there's a bathroom. So when we stop, everybody's going. I don't want to hear you don't have to go. Everybody's going. And then I don't know. Obviously, it had to be either Rae or Isaiah. Somebody had obviously undone their backpack at some point, months prior probably. Somebody had a molded sandwich underneath a chair in the back. And Aiden's like, what's that smell? And I'm like, who farted? And they're like, no. And then they found it. And we had to pull over, throw it out the window. It smelled terrible. Anyway, that trip was pure comedy. Just to listen to the kids. And then they were all like, just sibling, like, da-da-da-da-da-da. And it was just back and forth. But the drive there wasn't too bad. Now, at the hotel, I had rules. And I literally told them, I'm like, my famous saying, if you act like a fool, I'm going to stick my foot up your butt. And so I had told them, like, hey, we're checking in. Here's the deal. And I specifically said, we are not going to ding dong door ditch at the hotel. Because that seems to be a theme with travel teams, right?
Right.
Lord have mercy. I think it was like 10 something. I'm trying to get the girls in bed. And lo and behold, these boys, I heard it. Like running and stuff. And I opened up that door and I was like, get in there now. And like screaming down the hallway. And you should have seen their faces because I busted them. And they were like, oh. And I'm like, in now. Oh my gosh. I have so many stories about them though.
Oh, heaven.
But
what do you enjoy most about watching your kids compete and play, right? We're talking now a little bit about kind of the memories and the off-field experiences. What do you like? What do you enjoy about that?
okay, well, so of course I love watching the success of them on the field or, racetrack or whatever. Like that's great. But I also really enjoy watching them develop relationships, especially with their coaches. I was never the parent to stay at practice. Like I was good at drop and go because I think even when they were young, I wanted them to develop the relationship with their coach. Now, if their coach had to call me, fine, but I'm not calling the coach. So, and I stressed to them when they were little, like, hey, if you're not getting playing time, don't talk to me about it. Talk to your coach, even at 8U. That's not my role. Like, I'm not going to be that mom. I see a lot of those parents, when I was coaching softball at Smithville and then my travel team in Indiana, out of Diamond Dynamics, I had parents that would stay for practice and I had a dad that would come. I'd be on first base, come, right to the fence to talk to me. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? Right. But I stress to my kids, like the relationships that they develop is what I loved to watch. Like their interactions in the dugout. I love watching them, cheer for other people and to encourage other people and to just be a light to other people. Now, obviously, if they make a mistake, drop a ball or have an error, I'm like, but, and I just love watching them compete, but it's the relationships that I see developing that actually warm my heart. So I think that's my favorite part of them being on a team.
I love that.
And it's also not just about them.
Yeah, right. They're part of something bigger than themselves. They're connecting. They're building relationships. They're building life skills. I couldn't agree more. And again, life skills that transcend, years and distance beyond.
Right. Right.
I'm gonna pull one more video for you to show you real quick, and then get back to it just to illustrate this. So let me pull this one up.
Okay.
And then we can watch this.
One of my favorite stories is in Saraland. We were at a baseball tournament. Might have been fifth inning of the game. It was later in the game, and it just started pouring. Dude, it was bad. I remember we're all running to the dugout, trying to hurry up, grab our stuff,
all grabbing each other's bags, just trying to get everything out of that dugout. Everyone sprints
and we look out. The parents are just gone.
Left us.
It's just us. So we ran into the porta potty. We were like 8 deep in there. Me, you, Jacob, Gavin. I think Andrew Elsesser.
We had 8 people. Just everyone just crowded
bags and everything. The wind. I remember it was like bad wind. Like it was a pretty bad storm.
It was a straight storm.
And
it was bad.
We peep out out the porta potty and we see my mom coming down, laying on the horn, whipping the traverse. We were like, oh, bet. We all ran out. She gave us a ride back.
Sprinted the traverse back to the campsite. Ran for the save for the win.
For the win.
Ended it out, man. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so one of my favorite memories. Totally one of my favorite memories. I think they're mistaken because I had literally dropped. It was Aiden and Isaiah because Aiden was staying with us in the camper. I have another Saraland story to tell after that. I dropped them off. It was warm-ups. They weren't even playing the game yet. It was warm-ups. And I dropped them off because I'm a drop and go girl. Dropped them off on the golf cart, went back to the camper or whatever. And all of a sudden, it just starts getting super windy, dark real quick. And it just starts, rain. And it was a downpour. And it was like the rain and the wind, it was coming sideways, like you couldn't even see. And I was like, oh, so I jumped in the Traverse and I went to pick them up. And there's people running everywhere, right? And I can't find the boys. And I'm like, what the heck? And I'm just like, flashing my brights and honking, so they can hear me. And all of a sudden I'm like, pull up and this porta potty door opens and I see a head stick out and then it shuts. And then I'm honking, looking, and it opens and boy after boy after boy. And I was like, what in the hell? Like, how did they were not small boys, except for Gavin and Jacob and Andrew. Now they were small boys, but Isaiah was a thick old dude and Aiden wasn't small either. And they're, their bags with their bats and everything. And they're just running, like just coming to the car, and they all just pile in. And I'm like, what the heck? And I think I took a picture, and I wish I could find it, but of them coming out of, and the rain was, you couldn't see them at first. It was so bad. Oh yeah. But that was funny. That I was like, how did they all fit in there?
Yeah, that's a marvel of modern physics, right? I have no idea how that would be possible, let alone.
I don't know, because they're not, porta potties are tiny.
Yes.
Gross. Can you imagine? Like,
again, I love the fact that, again, maybe it has some mythological, properties as the story grows. But again, this was many, many years ago, right? These are two Division I college football players, and knuckleheads, and they can still connect on that moment then, way, way back when, and have a memory in their heart that'll touch them, touch their parents and the other people. But the memory
we'll
is
find it somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, so that was the same weekend, A-Train. So this kid, he didn't want to get up in the mornings. He doesn't like getting up in the mornings. And we're getting ready for bed. We have to be up. I think we had a game at 8 a.m., right? And so I'm making the boys go to sleep in their bunk beds. And Aiden is changing into his uniform. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he was like, well, I'm just going to wake up and go. So he had his uniform on and slept in it.
Yep.
I'm like, what the heck? And I'm like, so the next morning I was like, dude, you got to brush your teeth. At least brush your teeth. I'm like, oh my gosh. But that same weekend, I'll never forget, we had lit a fire. We had the music going. We had starting to get food out. And here comes Kiera running. And there was like a playground, right? And the putt was over on the other side.
Right.
And Kiera's running and Rae is running behind her. And then you just see Aiden and Isaiah, and they're kind of walking slow, and they're back. And Kiera's, Mom, Mom, Mom. And Rae is like, be quiet, Kiera, be quiet. She's like, Rae, we had this, she knew snitches get stitches, right? Like it's a sibling thing. You don't rat each other out. Well, Kiki comes running up. She's like, we got kicked out of putt-putt. I'm like, what? She's like, Aiden and Isaiah got us kicked out of putt-putt. I'm like, and Rhea's running up 2 seconds later. She's like, no, we didn't. No, we didn't. And she was like, I'm like, what is going on? And the boys slowly but surely are coming to the thing. And so and Kiera, I mean, she'll tell you, right? Yeah. So I was like, what happened? And she was like, the boys got in trouble. Well, apparently the boys were, taking their golf clubs and whacking the ball. Well, the ball's going in the water. Right. Well, the boys play where it lands mentality. Well, so they got in the water to hit the ball. On top of that, they found more balls in that. So then they were like taking balls. Anyway, the people at the putt-putt got mad because they were chucking balls everywhere. Water's going everywhere. They're in the water. And they were like, you're done. You're out of here. And so they were told they couldn't return. And the girls ratted them out. And the boys were like, no, our balls kept going. We weren't hitting it that hard. I'm like, go inside and change. I'm like, just go change. I was like, go to the park or do something. I was like, oh gosh. But I did make them go back and apologize. Good. I was like, you guys know that wasn't appropriate behavior on the putt-putt. They're like, well, we weren't hitting them that hard. And I'm like, that's a lie. Mm-hmm. I was like, go apologize. Even if it was the truth, right? Right. Obviously the person working didn't like your behavior. Just go back and apologize. Be the bigger person here. Mm-hmm. So they did. We drove up on the golf cart and they apologized and they come back to the golf cart. And I'm like, life lesson, right? Wow. Like sometimes we have to apologize. Even if we don't believe we have to apologize, we need to apologize to be the bigger person.
Perfect life.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
The beauty of it, again, from youth sport and beyond, I mean, again, the relationships that you're talking about, we have great stories. Awesome. Again, we could be talking for hours about this. I want to flip the script.
Right.
Let's talk about kind of what are some of the difficult things about watching your kids compete? What are some things that are, as a sports mom, problematic and really, light your fire?
So I will say bad umpiring. No. Yes. But thankfully I haven't had too much issues about this, but I mean, I have run into a couple coaches who, during youth sports that seem to forget what age group they were dealing with. Like little girls in a dugout are gonna be giddy and, cheer, and with softball, there's all their little cheers in the dugout. Right. And you see some coaches that get upset about that, or like the way they talk to them. Mm-hmm. Like, and I'd be like, what are we doing? They're 8, right? Like, I never had any issues really with Isaiah. Maybe in junior high, there was one coach that I just wasn't a fan of. But it wasn't that he didn't know what he didn't know. You know what I mean? Like, he was a teacher, but he knew nothing about football. Mm. So that, I mean, there would be those times where you're like, that's the wrong, like, fundamental wise, right. If you've got a kid on the line, especially at that age, you want them to learn the proper technique because concussions happen. Right. And anytime you're on the line, that's right. Right. So proper technique was critical. And I was like, we were at a practice game. No, it was a game. And I was like, oh. So I took a little video and sent it to his dad. And I was like, hey, you need to work on this. Because to no fault of the teacher, he didn't coach D-line. Sure. So I think maybe that, or when they get hurt. Mm-hmm. Like, there's nothing worse than watching your kid go down on the field. Like, all of a sudden it just,
So let me ask this, Rand. So Erica does this. When they go down, she wants to run on the field, not to like grab her and she backs my hand away. And are you sit in a space, let it happen, or you go down there and protect your baby cub, or kind of what's your modality?
So I've had to learn. Now, I'll say this. So when they were younger, like for Isaiah, I was quick a couple times to hit that fence to Josh Alley, and I'd be like, yo, like, Alley, what's up? Like, I'm coming on there. And he's like, we're good. But thankfully, I had coaches I trusted because they treated my kids like their kids. And still to this day, Isaiah calls Josh Alley his white dad. Oh, Lord. But yeah, that's tough. That is a tough one. I have gone on the field. When Kiki actually had a double fracture in her leg on a softball game, she has EDS, is why she doesn't play softball or sports anymore. She was supposed to take the steal from first to second. The hitter, batter was supposed to take the swing, but she actually hit a foul ball. So Kiki had to plant. She was almost at second base. She planted her foot to stop to go back. And her PCL stretched because she has the EDS and I thought she twisted her ankle. So I'm in the stands and I'm like, it's okay, walk it off. And I'm cheering and walk it off. You got it, babe. You got it. And the next thing I know is one of her assistant coaches was actually an ER nurse. And he went out there and her head coach looked at me and he's like, this isn't good. And they carried her off the field. And the next thing I know, they have her in the dugout and her head coach comes out and says, hey, you got to get her to the hospital. I'm like, wait, what? Like, and then I felt terrible because I'm like, knock it off, So I've learned to listen to my children because I think they've shown me when I can and can't be that person, if that makes sense. Now, Isaiah did get a really bad concussion during spring ball.
At Tennessee or in high school?
Yeah, at Tennessee this past spring.
Mm-hmm.
And he went down. And I was like, ooh, and at first, oh, here we go. I didn't realize it was him at first because I wasn't paying attention to the spring game. And I was like, oh, somebody's down. And I looked and I'm like, oh, that's Isaiah. And I literally got up because I saw them take him, like they took him through the tunnel.
Yeah.
And I was like, if they took him, and I saw him wobble, and I was like, oof. And I was actually, Krista Johns was with me. Oh. Yeah. So, because Logan, her son, Logan, he is a student coach here.
Oh, awesome.
So, yeah. And Carter goes here now, too. So,
World connecting, colliding. I love it. Yeah.
I know. But Kim Garner, who is Isaiah's position coach's wife, she got up with me and we made our way down to that tunnel. And at first they were like, oh, you can't go back there. And Kim was like, oh, but we can. And I was like, and then we ran into somebody from recruiting and she was like, let me get you to him. And when I walked in, actually, he was like, Mom. And I could tell, like, at that moment, as grown as he is and as big as he is, he needed his mom. And so I gave him my sunglasses because the light was just bothering him. I gave him my sunglasses. We put a towel over his head and waited for all the medical people. And and he came home with me that night and slept in a dark room. That's hard to watch.
Absolutely. The inevitability of the sport, but at the same time, that does make it easier on the people who, care for their kids and see that in that space.
And then I think when they have a loss, that's part of it. That's part of competing. That's part of growing up. We're all going to have losses. Even in life, you have losses, right? Or failures. But watching them have to go through that and knowing that, I'm the type, I don't want to do anything. I need them to work through it on their own. I can only guide them or ask them. Like, I don't talk to Rae about when we get in the car if she didn't have a good game, unless she says something to me. I learned a long time ago not to say it to her because then she's going to just come at me crazy. So I let her. And if she needs her alone time or whatever, like we drove home from California one time after a game and it was like 3 hours. And I don't think she spoke once to me. She was feeling it. She was all in it. And I had to let her be in that. And as a mom, that's uncomfortable, right?
Absolutely.
That's super uncomfortable. But I have to let her work through that in order for her to open up to me so that I can, in a sense. And we literally were like a block and a half away from home. And she just looked over and she goes, I'm hungry. And okay. Chipotle it is, which is her favorite. So
I'll tell you, it's an elite sport parent move. And when I work, with parents on, this sort of stuff, the car ride can't be that interrogation. The car ride needs to be their space. If they want to come to you, great. Don't bring it to them. Now, will you have 6 really good tips to give her? Of course you do. But put it in your pocket. Leave it alone. So that's such a big thing and such an easy enough thing. Again, I love watching you play. And then it's your control over the conversation about, what didn't go right.
Yeah, and when I was coaching softball, that was hard. And I did have a rule with my girls when I coached them. I stopped coaching when we moved to California, but I never chose to coach Rae because of her personality and my personality. I knew that wasn't going to work. She is my mini-me in a sense, and that just wouldn't work. But I made it clear to him when I was coaching at Smithville, which does still have the best hot dogs, Burton. You remember that?
I do.
Although I do love my Winslow nights were honestly, I think my favorite. My favorite. I loved our community at Winslow, but Smithville had better hot dogs. Okay, so when I was coaching at Smithville, I literally would pull into the parking lot and I'd just look at both girls and I'd be like, "Okay, we're here for your game. Mom is not here anymore, but Coach Rae is. So let's go." So we had to separate that, right? And thankfully I don't have to do that anymore because that was tough. Because then we'd get in the car and my little Rae one time looks at me. She goes, so are we mom now? And I'm like, yes, we'll be mom now, because I don't think she wanted to hear what Coach Ray had to say, because I benched her.
Yeah. Oh man! Again, the intersection of roles, right? The
Right.
coach wife, the sports mom, the coach your kids. It's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard navigating, and we can spend another hours, and you and I will
Right.
do on the backside. We've hit our time for the podcast today, Rae Ann, but I just want to tell you how much I
Okay.
appreciate you coming on. This is so good for our listeners to understand all that goes into being a coach's wife, all
Right.
that is involved in being a sport parent. And on a personal level, you make places that you are better, right? You have a light and energy about you, and I miss you, and I really appreciate
miss
you
you too.
coming in this space and having this conversation for our listeners. Thanks so much.
Yes, you're so welcome.
So from United and Rae Ann Inge and Dr. Joyce Steinfeldt, we're signing off. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Third overtime, 44-41, and a touchdown wins it. Snap back to Helinski, drops back, has time, passes left, caught, made at the catchment of the 20-yard line, ball to the 10, runs for the win, dives for the pylon. Touchdown, Washington State.